What's going on, everybody? Wood Talk Sports back again today with another mock draft. Today is mock draft 6.0, and in honor of free agency starting on Monday, it's time to get a new mock draft going. A lot of things happened on Monday with Saquon Barkley, going to the Eagles, Josh Jacobs to the Packers. The big one that kind of affects the mock draft in the most in trades and drafting, I would say, is the Atlanta Falcons going out and getting Kirk Cousins. Now, there's a lot of other things that has happened as well, including the Panthers getting a second-round pick from the Giants in a Brian Burns trade, which we will be doing a 2-round mock later on, but this one is still going to be a 1. Also, while you're at it, if you enjoy my content and you've been seeing my videos a couple times before, make sure to just press the subscribe button. It's free. It helps me out a ton, and I appreciate your support if you're already coming back for more videos. And if you like this one as well, especially, hit the subscribe button. I'm trying to hit 100 before the end of March, and we are just so close. We are 95 subscribers last time I checked. So we're only 5 away. 5 away, guys. It's going to be big. We'll have a 100 subscriber thing coming out on the YouTube channel as well. And we're looking to just grow as a channel and give you guys the right content you guys want to see. So we're going to get into it right now, though. Number 1 pick is the Chicago Bears, obviously. And I don't have any change of mindset. I still think Caleb Williams is their guy. I still think that Justin Fields will be traded come draft day or before draft day. I have a new team he's going to. Last time I had him going to the Patriots and Marvin Harrison going to the Patriots. That is not happening this time around. It is going to be a different team, and we will get there, and I'll let you know what's going to happen when we do get there. But Caleb Williams, number 1, not much to say. Number 2, to the Commanders, we're going to go to Mr. Jayden Daniels. And the reason I'm going to do that is it seems like Jayden Daniels is starting to get liked a lot more, or not a lot more, but it's starting to get liked more than Drake May. And people are starting to talk about him more. Commanders seem like they might want him more. The Patriots are really interested in him. I just think Jayden Daniels will go second. And then Drake May will fall right behind him at 3rd. He's still a good quarterback in this draft. I think that people are being a little too harsh to him. Some people I see have him dropping J.J. McCarthy going before him. I don't think that's going to happen. But Drake May, 3 to the Patriots. 4 is going to stay the same. It's going to be Marvin Harrison Jr. And that's pretty self-explanatory. It's Marvin Harrison Jr. He's like the best prospect, one of the best prospects I've seen in a long time. Now, at number 5, we've got the Los Angeles Chargers, and this is the pick that I've been thinking about trading so much. There's one team that I think, maybe 2, will trade up. It's Minnesota and Denver. Now, since Minnesota just lost Kirk Cousins, I feel like it's pretty evident that they're going to want to probably, trade up for a quarterback if they think Denver's going to trade up. Now, Denver isn't going to be able to trade up with the Chargers. I don't see them being able to do that. I don't see the Chargers. Also, I don't see them trading back right now. That's just the way that I'm looking, especially because Malik Neighbors is still available. And getting Herbert a elite weapon like that when Mike Williams might be gone soon, and then all of their guys are – Keenan Allen's a free agent, I believe, the 2025 offseason. So Malik Neighbors to the Chargers is going to be a big one, and that is number 5 overall. Now at number 6 overall to the Giants, I've been going between Joe Alt, Malik Neighbors, Rome Odunze, maybe J.J. McCarthy. This time I'm going to say there's no quarterback in play unless they do trade back. I could see the Giants maybe doing that. I don't think it's very unlikely though. So it's either Alt or Odunze, and I just think the wide receiver 1 problem is the biggest problem in New York. You can try and get maybe a tackle or guard in free agency, but Odunze is going to be a New York Giant in my opinion because they need to fix that wide receiver problem first because you can't have Darius Slayton as your wide receiver one and be a successful team. Now you can say the same thing about how you can't have a guy like Evan Neal blocking for Daniel Jones, who has been awful his first 2 seasons, and he's not really looking like he's going to improve. But I just can't pass up on Rome Odunze because he's an absolute stud. So number 7 for the Titans, we're going back to our roots of offensive line. Last draft, we did Malik Neighbors dropping to 7, and I obviously don't have that happening. So we're going to go 7 to the Titans is going to be Joe Alt. Still the OT1 in my opinion in this draft, and he is going to be a key aspect to rebuilding this team. Now with the newly signed Tony Pollard, getting him a good offensive line to run the ball behind, and obviously keep Will Levis protected is going to be big for the Titans. Now at number 8, this is another team I could see trading back now because they have Kirk Cousins. I could see the Vikings trying to get that 8th pick, the Broncos trying to get 12. But the one thing with me is that if the Falcons trade down, they're going to get their second option in what they want. And because number 9, he's going to go at number 9 if he's not available, if he's still available after 8. The Bears will scoop him up like it's nothing. And that is going to be Dallas Turner. I've been doing this literally every time, it seems like. Almost every mock draft, I have the Falcons taking Dallas Turner, and there's a reason behind that because he's an absolute stud and an absolute freak athlete. So I'm going to go Dallas Turner, number 8 to the Falcons. Now at number 9 here, I think Bears, no wide receiver on the board available. You could trade back and go for Brian Thomas Jr., Adonai Mitchell later in the first round. But I think that they go and they just solidify this defense that they are building. I mean, they re-signed Jalen Johnson. They're just doing so much. They re-signed a safety. I just talked about him yesterday, but can't quite think of his name right now. It's not really a big necessary need. It's either between Byron Murphy or Jared Verse. And you got to look at it. It's either you pair Jared Verse alongside of Montez Sweat, or you stuff up that middle of your defensive line. As much as I love the pairing of Verse and Sweat, I think that beefing up that interior D line is something that would be big. So I'm gonna go Byron Murphy at 9 to the Bears, and what he has shot up my draft boards. And number 9 is good spot for him, especially with the team that is there. I don't see Brock Bowers going to Chicago. Some people I've talked to said maybe Brock Bowers goes to Chicago. I don't think so. I think they're fine with Cole Kmet. He's been good for him. So Byron Murphy, number 9 to the Chicago Bears. And then at number 10 to the Jets, I've been thinking Talise Fuaga. It just seems like Olu Fashanu and then Fuaga, that's their board. It's 1 and 2. And then obviously Joe Alt, probably their overall one, but he won't be there. I'm going to go with Fashanu, number 10. The reason I'm going to do that is he's a left tackle type of player, and that's something that the Jets could use, is a left tackle type of player. Unless they can get a left tackle in free agency, then I could see maybe them trading down and getting a right tackle player like J.C. Latham, like a big guy like Latham or Mims, trading down. But I think Fashanu is a good spot at 10, especially at that left tackle spot. Maybe they go get David Bakhtiari in the offseason, but Fashanu, I think, is a great fit for them at 10. And then that leaves number 11, the Minnesota Vikings. I think it's pretty evident they need to go quarterback here. You could argue Bo Nix, but it's going to be J.J. McCarthy. McCarthy will be a Minnesota Viking, in my opinion. If any team's going to go out and get him, it's going to be Minnesota. So, I mean, if you haven't watched my draft profile on McCarthy, I'd recommend you guys go check it out. It really opened my eyes when I was making that video on how his sample size is really his only negative aspect to his game. The other thing I pointed out was his weight. He was listed at 203 back at Michigan, weighed in at 219 at the combine, which was, I mean, he got rid of that concern from me. So I think that he's going to be a very high potential guy. You give him Justin Jefferson as his number one target heading into his NFL career, he'll be fine. So now at number 12 to the Broncos, no quarterback on the board. You could go Bo Nix, but I don't think Bo Nix is going to go top 12. I do think that Denver will go corner. You could go DeJean, you could go Mitchell, Wiggins, Arnold. I think here they go with who in my eyes has become my favorite corner in this draft class, Quinyon Mitchell, especially with the fantastic combine that he had. If you haven't watched my combine winners and losers, I would also check that one out. Quinyon Mitchell was one of our bigger winners, running a 4.33. I believe it is a 4.33. He looked fantastic at the combine, and he's rising up draft boards because of it. And then at number 13 to the Broncos. Broncos divisional rival is going to be the Raiders. I think getting a guy who can play on the offensive line is necessity. Talisa Fuaga, Troy Fautanu, maybe Jackson Powers Johnson, J.C. Latham. It's going to be Fuaga. I've always had him going for a lot of the mock drafts. It's been Fuaga to the Raiders, and usually it follows with J.C. Latham to the Saints or somebody to the Saints. It's going to be back-to-back tackles there, but Fuaga, with the absence of Josh Jacobs now too, with their new running back, just solidifying an offensive line to help build another running back or get a running back in free agency is going to be a big thing. And then obviously with the new signing of Gardner Minshew, is that their starter? Is that not? I think it's backup. I said I was going to do it when I got there. I'm one pick behind, but this is actually my big team, my big make or break team that's going to be trading for Justin Fields. So I've messed up. So I can't really do the trade on here, but the Raiders, in my opinion, will be doing a trade for Justin Fields. It's going to be Justin Fields for a third round this year and a second round next year. I think he's worth 2 day 2 draft picks, if not maybe 1 day 2 from this, like a second round this year, or a third next year and a second next year. I think the Raiders are willing to do that. Rumors have sparked saying the Raiders are probably going to be the front runner for this man, because the Vikings or Broncos are going to probably put their eyes set on McCarthy or a guy in the draft. And the Raiders, I think, could get Fuaga in the first round, get an offensive lineman, and then go get Justin Fields, and then go get a running back on free agency too, and just build this team. And I mean, don't get me wrong, Zamir White's he's a good running back. He played well at the end of the season, but is he a starting running back for a whole season? I don't think so. That's why I think they need to go get a running back. But Fuaga to the Raiders, Justin Fields to the Raiders. And we'll move on to number 14 with the New Orleans Saints, which is going to stick with O-line. I think this is a perfect fit for the Saints. Troy Fautanu from Washington to New Orleans. I think he works here very well. He's a guy that you can move to guard. So is Trevor Penning. He's also a guy you can move to guard. And I think Trevor Penning, the way he likes to play and the violence and aggression he likes to play with really doesn't work at the left tackle position. I think Fautanu is perfect for the left tackle position in the New Orleans offense, and then you shove Penning inside to the guard position, and then he would have worked very well, a lot better than he has been at tackle. Then he will do a lot better at guard. So I think Fautanu not only solves their tackle problem, but it also solves their Trevor Penning problem. And then they can go solve some other stuff in later rounds, like their D-line problem. They can go get an edge rusher in the second round, with Chop Robinson at pick number 50, I believe it is, if it's still available. Now at number 15, we're going to be having the Colts draft now, and I've been thinking different ways, right? Defensive interior line. But they did just re-sign Grover Stewart, I believe that's his name. And so him and Buckner, You could go edge rusher. You could go verse. I think the corner problems are a big thing. Keeping Kenny Moore is big, and then getting another guy with him is big. So that means Terrion Arnold is going to be my next corner off the board. I think it's only right that he's the next corner off the board, and he is going to be fitting for a Colts defense with the need for defensive back. So 16 to the Seahawks. This has happened, I think, my last 2 or 3 mocks. It's going to be Jared Verse off the edge. I could very well see Byron Murphy, if he slips to 16, going to Seattle, with Leonard Williams being a free agent right now. But the edge rusher position, him and Boye Mafe would be good off the edge. And that's going to be something to look out for. And I think edge rusher is a spot Seattle needs, and Jared Verse, if he's available at 16, which he probably won't be, in my opinion. Just hypotheticals, and I mean, obviously I think he's going to be there, but I think he could very well go within the top 12, 14. So if he's at 16, the Seahawks will not pass up on him. So now at 17, I think it's pretty evident for the Jacksonville Jaguars what they do first round. It's get yourself some DBs. They just signed Darnell Savage from the Packers, which kind of led to the Packers pushing for Xavier McKinney. But I think they go corner, and the corner they go for is going to be Nate Wiggins. Nate Wiggins out of Clemson. He ran a 4.28, I think it was official, and he looked fantastic. And unfortunately, he hurt himself, so he wasn't able to do the rest of the drills. But Wiggins being my third corner off the board makes a little bit of sense to me. Also doesn't I'm a little contradicted with it because I really like Nate Wiggins, but I think he is the third best corner in this draft. DeJean, who's actually the number 1 rated guy, is, in my opinion, the 4th best corner in this draft class. But he's the most expendable. So you'll see where I put him later. But Nate Wiggins, number 17 to the Jags. Number 18 now to the Cincinnati Bengals. This man fell right into their lap. This is a match made in heaven, I think, for the Cincinnati Bengals. It is Brock Bowers. So Brock Bowers is drafted by Cincy at 18. Obviously, tackles in play here because their offensive line has never really been that good, and keeping Burrow healthy is a necessity. But with a guy like Brock Bowers, who's literally a match made in heaven for Cincinnati's offense and for Joe Burrow, if he's still available, you get him, add him to that arsenal. T. Higgins apparently requesting a trade now, doesn't want to play under the franchise tag. Don't quote me if that's wrong, if I'm wrong, but you go get Brock Bowers, who's fantastic after the catch, arguably the best tight end we've seen in college football. Falling all the way to 18 as well is fantastic for the Bengals. So, at number 19, we got the Rams. We could go offensive line. We could go defense. I'm leaning towards defensive player. I'm actually leaning back towards what I used to be giving them all the time, and that is Cooper DeJean. And that's what I'm going to do. It's going to be to Cooper DeJean. And I think that he is that expendable corner, as I've been saying every time I talk about him. He can play slot. He can play boundary. He can play field. He can play safety. He can play nickel. He can play anything. And that's something that the LA Rams could really benefit from having. Number 20 to the Steelers. We've got Jackson Powers Johnson is probably going to be the most likely. The Steelers now just got Russell Wilson, paying him for pocket change. So they're going to be able to maybe do some stuff in the offseason, and I think if they don't get Connor Williams, the free agent for the Dolphins, I think they go Jackson Powers Johnson. If they do get him, I think Jackson Powers Johnson drops at 21 to the Dolphins. I just think personally that Connor Williams will re-sign with the Dolphins, which will contribute to this next pick. But Jackson Powers Johnson has solidified himself as a first-round pick, as the number 1 center coming off the board. My first mock draft, I remember I didn't even think about him, but he's a stud. I've watched his film. I like the way he answers questions too. Like he was good at the interviews and whatnot. He'll be a good add to the Pittsburgh Steelers. So at 21 to the Miami Dolphins, I could go a bunch of ways here. I could go Graham Barton because he's got the versatility, move inside, whatnot, especially with the loss of Robert Hunt as he signed with the Carolina Panthers. But I'm gonna go with J.C. Latham. He's an absolute specimen at tackle, and I think he's something that would be pretty vital to a offensive line, especially Miami's. Keeping Tua safe, letting him find his guys downfield, and they do need a tight end, but I don't think that it's worth really jumping up the board for Jatavion Sanders that much. If anything, you trade up in the second round to get Jatavion Sanders, but the O-line for the Dolphins would be a big thing with like all of their interior basically being a free agent, one of them gone already. So J.C. Latham to the Dolphins. And then at number 22 to the Eagles, I've been going DB a lot, and I was considering Tyler Nubin because, they released Kevin Byard, which would be very possible. But my big thing is the fact that they are losing Jason Kelce. So who am I going to take? I could take Zach Frazier, who plays center. Or I could take, in my opinion, a better prospect in Graham Barton, who we know can move to center. And so I think they pick up Barton and move him to center, and then they don't have to worry about moving a bunch of dudes around from other tackle spots and other guard spots to try and solve others' places. If they go DB or defense, they can go Graham Barton. And I think that's what's going to happen. They're going to go Graham Barton, and that'll be big for the Eagles, especially with Saquon Barkley in the backfield now. Getting yourself a better good center and a solid O-line for Barkley, because he's really never had one. So 23 now to the Texans. You could go wide receiver here. I like going wide receiver a lot with the Texans, but I think their biggest concern on their team is going to be their defensive line. And I think there's one guy who's perfect for that, and it's Jer'Zhan Newton. So Jer'Zhan Newton will be number 23 to the Texans, and that is just something that they need to work on, is stuffing the interior D-line. Sorry about that. Camera cut out. But, yeah, working that interior D-line, being able to stuff run plays, something that is going to be vital for the Texans' defense next season. Yes, you could go and work on that offense, go work on C.J. Stroud, his weapons. But you really don't need to. I mean, you could go get yourself a wide receiver, but, Tank Dell, Nico Collins, Noah Brown's good enough if you have him next season. And then, Robert Woods, he's okay. I like Robert Woods. You re-signed Dalton Schultz, so, you don't have to worry about that. So I think you focus defense. And on a guy that I've really been thinking maybe goes to this team is Peyton Wilson after that combine performance especially. They could go linebacker because they just did lose Brian Cashman to the Vikings. So who knows? Maybe next mock I go Peyton Wilson to the Texans. But as of now, I still think Jer'Zhan Newton, if he's available, that is the right move for the Texans. At 24 now to the Dallas Cowboys, they could go a lot of directions. They got no running back anymore. Running back's not really not worth it in the first round for this draft, especially no Bijan Robinson type player. There's Jonathan Brooks, Jalen Wright, Blake Corum, those guys, but they're not round one picks. You go offensive line, you just lost your center, so you could go Zach Frazier. You could go, you could drop down the board and get somebody late on the board that's lower down there. But I'm actually thinking of this one position that they need. It's wide receiver. I'm pretty sure they did keep Michael Gallup, but Brandon Cooks, I don't know about him, how everything's going. I think Brian Thomas Jr. just helps a ton for Dak Prescott especially. CeeDee Lamb and Brian Thomas Jr. would be absolutely deadly for Dak Prescott, who just led in a lot of major categories in the NFL, was in the MVP conversation for a decent amount of the season. And Unfortunately for Brian Thomas Jr., he will be one of the most hated players in the NFL if he's good because he's a Dallas Cowboy. So, I mean, as much as they could go a lot of different ways, I think when you have a guy of the caliber of Brian Thomas Jr. on the board, it only makes sense. So, Brian Thomas Jr. to the Dallas Cowboys at number 24. And we will be moving on to the Packers now, who have been making moves. Lost the A.J. Dillon's a free agent, cut Aaron Jones after signing Josh Jacobs, acquiring Xavier McKinney on a 4-year, $68 million deal, I believe it is. They could still go safety, go Tyler Nubin. I think they go tackle. They need to protect Jordan Love, protect Josh Jacobs, let him get developed in the backfield. So I think they're going to go with another absolute beast of a tackle, Marius Mims. The amount of games played is a concern, but his size is fantastic, and his athleticism for that size is also pretty dang good. So 25 is going to be a Marius Mims, and that'll be big for the Packers, especially because they have a very young squad that they're building, especially, and getting another young, good tackle on that squad to be there for a long time would be vital for this team. So at 26 to the Buccaneers now. I've been going with the same guy for the past how many mock drafts. It's going to stay that way. I just think the fact that he's still here at 26, Laiatu Latu, 26, to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They just re-signed and extended both Baker Mayfield and Mike Evans. Baker to a 3-year deal and Mike Evans to a 2-year deal. So no need to really look wide receiver here. Obviously, if they didn't keep Mike Evans, you could look at Adonai Mitchell, at Ladd McConkey, maybe jumping the board for Worthy, but not happening on this one after they re-signed both. You could go offensive line, try and get a guy who can play guard or center, maybe Zach Frazier, but I'm going to go with defense here. They could also go Peyton Wilson because Devin White and Levante David are both free agents right now. And if they aren't able to get both of them, or maybe just only get one of them, it is very possible they go Peyton Wilson in the first round. But now at 27 for the Cardinals, last mock draft, obviously I had them trading down to from 4 to 8, trading from 4 to 8 after Marvin Harrison went 3 to get Dallas Turner at 8, and then getting a wide receiver, trading up and getting a wide receiver at 22. But that's not going to be the case this time. They're still at 27. They got Marvin Harrison Jr. I think your next priority would be a defensive lineman. I don't think you jump up and get Chris Braswell or Chop Robinson or Braden Fisk. I think you get them second round. So I think your next thing is keeping Kyler safe, and that is going to be with none other than another Oklahoma player to keep an Oklahoma quarterback safe, Tyler Guyton, who is going to be off the board at 27. Keeping Kyler safe, as I said, is something so crucial. I mean, when he is healthy, he is really good. We got to remember, his last time he was fully healthy, he was an MVP candidate for the first half of the season, and then their team had struggles. He started dealing with a couple of minor injuries. He's a stud. Kyler Murray's a stud. Keeping him safe is going to get you to win games. So Tyler Guyton at 27, I think, is just inevitable if he's there. And now at 28 to the Bills, losing Gabe Davis to the Jacksonville Jaguars in free agency just basically opens up the gate to go ahead and get yourself a wide receiver at 28. So I'm going to do that, and it's going to stay the same with Adonai Mitchell. Adonai Mitchell from Buffalo, to Buffalo from Texas, putting him on a team with Josh Allen is going to be fantastic because Adonai Mitchell is he can get jump balls or he can just beat people on routes. He's an absolute fantastic player. One of my biggest combine winners of the draft combine. So Adonai Mitchell at 28 to the Bills. Now at 29 to the Lions, I'm thinking two things, honestly. Zach Frazier, TJ Tampa, Kool-Aid McKinstry. You go offensive line or you go corner. And as much as I really like TJ Tampa for this Lions squad, I think getting an O-lineman guy, especially with Ragnow with all of his injuries and his possible retirement ahead of him, and you just lost what was his name? Jonah Jackson. Getting a guy who is interior O-line is big. So Zach Frazier at 29 to the Lions is going to be a big one for him. A good pickup for Detroit. And then at number 30 to the Baltimore Ravens. I think this one is very evident what position group they go with. I still think there's a possibility they do go and get Chop or Chris Braswell at number 30 to bump up that edge rushers because Jadeveon Clowney is a free agent. They did just re-sign Matabike, which is quite nice. They could go linebacker because they might be losing Patrick Queen. They do have Roquan Smith. We could see Baltimore translate more into a nickel dime team or like a dime team, but then again they need more corners still. So I think they go wide receiver, help out Lamar, and this time I'm gonna go Ladd McConkey. I just after the combine, it really took me a couple days to really let that settle in that he really had that fantastic of a combine. I mean, I think he ran a 4.38 40 as well. And he was very impressive. He was somebody that I look at and say he's a very plausible first-round pick. And especially now, you can tell, I think he's a first-round pick. He's going to the Baltimore Ravens at 30. Now, at number 31 to the NFC champs, the runner-ups of the Super Bowl, they're going to go corner here. And the reason I say that is they could go Jordan Morgan. I don't think he's worth the pick when you could just get one of these two good corners, McKinstry or Tampa. Listen, I've been kind of dropping McKinstry a little bit on my board. As much as these two should also probably be off the board in the first, very probably be off the board the first round. TJ Tampa, I think, is somebody that has grown on me as a player. And with the Niners needing corner, I just think that it's very possible that they go and get him instead of getting Kool-Aid McKinstry or getting an offensive lineman. So I'm going to have TJ Tampa going 31. I think he'll fit in well in San Francisco. It's one of their only problems, not their bigger problem, but one of their only problems in their entire depth chart, which is corner, because it's got about Charvarius Ward is really the only noticeable guy. And then at number 32, they could go tackle, could go Z-line, but there's just one guy that I think the Chiefs are willing to jump up a draft board for because they need wide receivers for their guy, Patrick Mahomes. And once again, the Chiefs draft Xavier Worthy, and that's going to wrap up our first round. It's going to be Xavier Worthy at 32 to end our first round mock draft. That is going to be it for us, ladies and gentlemen. And once again, if you guys liked this video, you like this content, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. Again, I'm trying to hit 100 subs for the end of March, which we're so close. My goal is to get to about 125, 150 by the end of April. I would love to do that. I'm going to be getting a lot of content out for you guys. Madden videos, draft profiles, they're all coming back. I was really busy with school last week, so but we're back. We got a little bit of time to get stuff out. So before I have to focus on a lot of school still. But let me know what you guys think. If you think your team's gonna do what I think they will do. If you disagree with some of these, just let me know in the comments down below. And then also make sure to follow me on any platforms. I'm not really too active on the social media platforms right now. I'm trying to focus on building this YouTube community, and then expanding that to a multi-platform community. But so hope you guys enjoy, and I mean I'll have this video out obviously if you're watching this on the day it came out, it's Tuesday. And then tomorrow, which would be Wednesday, we'll have the next week of our Madden franchise out. So hope you guys enjoyed. Appreciate y'all for watching. These are kind of longer videos, so I mean, a lot of my videos are long, but and I appreciate all the support y'all give me, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.